this video we're going to be discussing 10 reasons why you should pick up a Nintendo Switch Lite in 2024. Let's get on with it. So the Nintendo Switch Lite was released back in 2019, so it's going to be 5 years old this year, which is crazy, but it's just turned 2024, and if you're considering picking up a Nintendo Switch, specifically the Switch Lite, I'm going to give you 10 reasons why you should pick up the Nintendo Switch Lite. So the first reason you should consider picking up a Nintendo Switch Lite is the price. So when this console first released, it was £200, but I've seen these consoles on sale online for about £160, £170, and you'd be able to pick up one of these used for about £130, £140. So this Nintendo Switch Lite will cost you about £70 cheaper than a full-size Switch, and about £110 cheaper than a Switch OLED, and you'd be able to pick up two of these for about the same price as an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5. So just quickly, if you are enjoying this video so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We're going to try and aim for 20 likes on this video. That would be absolutely amazing. So let's get on with the rest of this video. So my second reason to consider picking up a Nintendo Switch Lite is the weight. So I didn't actually realise how much lighter this console was than the full-size Switch. This Switch Lite will weigh about 276 grams, whereas the full-size Switch will weigh about 400 grams. So that means that the full-size Nintendo Switch weighs almost 50% more than this Switch. And if you're looking for a very portable console, this is definitely the better option. Compared with the full-size Switch, playing games in portable mode will be much more comfortable on this console. If you're primarily going to be playing handheld games, then I would definitely recommend picking up one of these over the full-size Switch. So my third reason to pick up the Nintendo Switch Lite is actually the D-pad, or the directional pad. And what that is that cross button there that allows you to move in 4 directions. On the standard Switch, this is 4 individual buttons, whereas on the Switch Lite, it is a D-pad. And the reason this is an advantage for the Switch Lite is because the D-pad tends to be better for certain games, such as fighting games. So if you play games such as Mortal Kombat or Smash Bros, then people tend to find the D-pad better than using individual buttons. But I do want to say you can actually buy Joy-Cons for the full-size Switch that do have D-pads, but obviously that will cost you extra. This comes as standard. So my fourth reason for buying Nintendo Switch Lite is an obvious one, but it's exclusives. So this Switch Lite is the cheapest way to play all the Switch exclusives. So if you're someone like me that either plays on PC, Xbox or PlayStation as their main console, but let's say you also want to play some of the Nintendo Switch exclusives, this is the least expensive way to get into the Nintendo ecosystem. So with this console, you're able to play all of the Nintendo exclusives such as Mario and Animal Crossing. So the games won't look any worse on this console over the full-size Switch. Obviously the OLED Switch does have a nicer screen, and you can even play some AAA titles on the Nintendo Switch Lite. For example, The Witcher 3 has been ported over for this console, and I've been playing Dark Souls Remastered on this console, which is a really interesting experience, because when I first played that game it was on the TV, but now I'm able to play it on a handheld console. So my fifth reason for picking up a Nintendo Switch Lite is the build quality. So I'm not saying the build quality of the original Switch is bad, but if you think about it, that Switch is in multiple different parts. So you've obviously got the main console and the Joy-Cons that have to slide in, whereas because this console is constructed of one piece of plastic, then it feels more durable than a full-size Switch, if I'm being honest. This console obviously isn't indestructible, but it does feel very durable. And after 3 years of owning this console, there's very little kind of wear or tear on the console itself. But one thing I have noticed is these joysticks do tend to get a little bit sticky, so let me know if that's happened to you in the comments below. So my sixth reason for picking up one of these Nintendo Switch Lites is the battery life. So Nintendo claims you can get up to 7 hours of playing time on one of these on a full charge. Obviously if you're playing a more intensive game, the battery will be a bit shorter than that, and over the 3 years of owning this console, the battery life has been fairly decent actually, with anywhere between 4 and 7 hours of battery life. You can charge it very conveniently with a USB-C on the bottom. So the battery life on the Switch Lite is much better than the original Switch, and this battery life is very comparable to the updated Switch and the Switch OLED, which have what I've seen is very similar battery life to this console, which is good. So I've got no complaints with the battery life of this console. I think it's fairly decent for what it is. So my seventh reason for picking up a Nintendo Switch Lite is a feature they've introduced more recently. So when I first bought this Nintendo Switch, it did not have this feature, but if you update your Switch Lite to the latest firmware, you'll be able to use this feature. And the feature I'm talking about is connecting Bluetooth earbuds to your Nintendo Switch Lite. But don't worry if you still use wired headphones, this does have a 3.5mm headphone jack on the bottom somewhere. It's on the top. So my eighth reason to pick up a Nintendo Switch Lite is the colours. So excluding all the special editions of all these consoles, the Nintendo Switch Lite comes in 5 base colours. Got the yellow one here, whereas if you buy a Switch OLED or a normal Switch, there'll be less colour options. So if you're after a brightly coloured console, then the Switch Lite is definitely the way to go. So my ninth reason for picking up a Nintendo Switch Lite in 2024 is the screen. You might be confused when I say screen, because it is actually the smallest screen out there and isn't the best looking one, because there is the Switch OLED out there that obviously has the nicer, larger screen. But all of these screens are 720p. And if you think about it, having the smallest screen means this has the highest pixel density of all the Switches. So playing the Switch at arm's length, the individual pixels on this console will look smaller than the other two consoles. So if that's something you care about, then that's probably a reason to go with this Switch. So my 10th and final reason for picking up a Nintendo Switch Lite, and this applies to all the Switches, is cheap expandable storage. So this is just coming off the back of making an Xbox Series X video where buying proprietary storage is actually quite expensive. Whereas for all Switches, to upgrade the storage on them, all you have to do is buy a small micro USB and then pop it in, and then you've upgraded your storage. Now micro SD cards have become very, very cheap. You can buy 256 gigabyte micro SD cards for around £25. And another benefit of the Switch is the Switch games tend to be smaller in size. So storing your games on a Nintendo Switch is less of an issue than an Xbox or a PlayStation. So that concludes this video on 10 reasons to pick up a Nintendo Switch Lite in 2024. If you have enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button. We're aiming for 20 likes. And if you have enjoyed what you see and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers. And I will see everyone in my next video.